separate. We about to get into it. Gotta crack the bevy. You know I love these Cavitas, bro. I gotta drink the booch all the time. I am Nick, and you are watching Nick and Katie. This right here is my Santa Cruz 5010C, Carbon C, in an S-Kit build. This bike has just been absolutely fantastic to me. I have very few problems with this bike, and what problems I did have when I bought the bike, I had changed a few things and gotten the bike to exactly where I've always kind of dreamed it to be. That being said, there is a few things that in the future I would love to upgrade, but you know how it goes. We have these beautiful bikes that cost thousands of dollars, and all we can think to do is spend more money on them. So that's kind of always how it goes. So I've had this bike 6 months now, and I'm just going to kind of go over the things I like about it, the things I've changed about it, and then the very few things I don't like about it, as well as a couple other recommendations along the way. So let's get started. Now we'll start with the things that I've changed about the bike. So the very first, most obvious thing that I changed about the bike is I put these higher rise bars on it. These are the Josh Bryceland 38mm rise bars from BergTech. And I love BergTech. I think they're an awesome company, especially if you're gonna have a Santa Cruz bike. I feel like you gotta get the BergTech stuff. It just kind of fits the kit. So that's what I went with for this. It matches beautifully because I have the Maxxis logos on the tires, which match up perfectly with the yellow on the BergTech handlebars. So I think it's a nice little splash of yellow, and yellow and purple are colors that I think go really well together, even though this is more of a like brownish purple. A lot of people really can't tell the color, and I'm gonna try really hard to portray the color to you guys in this video, but it is just something you have to see in person, I'm telling you. If you think this color is like, you know, it's whatever, you haven't seen it in person. Go to a bike shop that has one of these and check it out, because it is an absolutely beautiful bike. It's a very classy color, we'll say. So, enough about the color. We got these 38mm rise handlebars, which are different than the 30mm rise BergTech bars that came on them. I, being a taller rider, wanted my body position to be a little bit more upright and back. I actually stacked the stem spacers as much as I could here, and I still didn't get the bars up high enough. And I feel like the way I think about it is the lower your bars are, the more cross-country you are, and I'm not a cross-country bumpkin by any means, so I wanted the bars to be high up. And if you bought a 5010, you can certainly do whatever you want with it. This is just what I did. This is my own personal, you know, thing on the bike. So I wanted to get the higher rise up so that I just felt like I could, you know, tackle the downhills a little bit better and just be in a more comfortable kind of BMX-y position to do jibs and free riding. So that's why I put those bars on there, and I've got to say I'm super happy with those. So that was my biggest upgrade that I've done on the bike so far, and it completely changed the way the bike rides. So I'm much more able to pull up to do wheelies and manuals and just get the bike around in general. I feel like it's easier to do bunny hops and all that above. So I really like that. I'm really glad I did that. The only other real update that I've done on the bike was get a BergTech through axle for the back that isn't one of those ones that has the quick release. I find the quick release ones to be a little bulky and not look as sleek as the ones that would use a tool. The cool thing about the BergTech ones too is they offer an hex key on both sides, so that if you end up stripping out the one side, you can use the other side to actually get it out and you're not in a pickle. So I really like that about those. Haven't had to use that yet. Obviously, I'm very careful with my bikes and I hope to not have to use that, but that's nice to know that that feature's in there. So it also looks really sleek, so I like that. And I'm gonna try to get one for the front too. I actually just saw that they came back in stock, but the unfortunate part of it is that you have to pay like $30 for shipping because it's from another country, and I really don't want to pay $30 for shipping for a $30 part. So I'm gonna wait until I get this other part that I'm about to tell you about, which is, I'll just tell you right now, it's a shorter stem. So I have the 42.5 stem on the front as far as like how far it goes out, and what I really like is a 35mm stem, and BergTech offers a silver one, which I think would look very sick on this bike. I think silver would be a nice kind of other accent color other than the yellow, because the bike almost looks black. You know what I mean? Like when you look at it, you're like, oh, it's just like a dark colored bike. It's not really much pizzazz. So I like that in the bike. I like the sleek look, but I like the small splashes of color, and I think the yellow, the silver, and then the overall kind of brownish black color will look really classy. So that's what I'm going for. I'm a very like aesthetically concerned person. Like, I've always been into cars, and I was never really into the speed aspect of cars, but I was always really into the looks of the cars, the way the cars looked. I was always into low cars. I would, spend all my time thinking about, what wheels and stuff to put on it to make it look a certain way. So I'm very picky with how my bike looks. I'm not one of those people that's just gonna throw any kind of part on my bike and different brands, and I'm super particular about that. And some people might say like, oh man, let's just ride the bike. But people get different things out of biking. And one of the things for me was that I was into cars, so now I'm into bikes, and it kind of fills that need. So I don't really, do anything with cars anymore. So that's kind of why I am very particular about my bike. So we're gonna kind of go over some of the things on the bike too. I actually have a video called New Bike Day, and it goes over all the different parts on the Santa Cruz. But now that I've had the bike for 6 months, I feel like I can dive a little bit more into the details of the bike and things that I like, things that I've noticed. We're gonna start out with talking about tires here. So the Maxxis Main DHR2s, I absolutely love them. I love Maxxis. I've had Maxxis on previous bikes, but with my stump jumper being the neon color it is, how I said I'm very particular about the aesthetic of the bike, I was not gonna put neon yellow next to Maxxis yellow. That would just be atrocious as far as I'm concerned. So, if you don't really care about that, that's fine. Like I said, I'm a bit picky, but now that I can run Maxxis tires again, because I have a bike that I think looks beautiful with Maxxis tires, I'm certainly going to be running Maxxis because I know more about their line. I feel like 75% of people run Maxxis tires, so it's really relatable kind of comparing the different options that they offer. So I like Maxxis. I'm really happy with these 2.4. So they're 27.5, obviously. It's a 50/10. If you didn't know that already, this bike is a 27.5 bike, front and rear. And it's got 2.4 by 27.5. Well, backwards if you technically are talking about 27.5 by 2.4 inches wide here. And I feel like this is a sweet spot for me. I feel like it's, fast rolling enough, kind of small and nimble, but it does enough. I don't feel like I needed 2.6s like I had on my stump jumper. I feel like maybe for that bike it was better, and if I was gonna have like an enduro bike, maybe I would run slightly wider tires. But for this particular bike and the stuff I'm doing with it, I find that these tires are perfectly good. I thought that they were gonna be a little bit too small, but here we are. Since we're talking about tires, we're gonna talk about the Race Fake Arc. The Race Fakes, bro. This comes with the Race Face Arc 30 wheels. And a lot of people say they aren't the best wheels, but I've had no issues with them so far. I've checked all the spokes and they seem to remain true. They don't seem like they're wobbling or anything wrong with them, and I do ride my bike pretty hard. So I feel like so far, so good. In the future, it would be really nice to get some new reserve wheels, some carbon wheels, but that's a little out of the ballpark right now. So we'll see maybe in the future if we smash these wheels up that we can maybe, kind of like get a little upgrade going. But as for now, this is fine. It would be super nice to have those though. That's definitely like a dream upgrade. If I had, hit the lottery or something, that's for sure what's going on this bike. We're kind of jumping all around here, but since we're talking about things I'm not super stoked on, the RockShox Reverb dropper post it works great, don't get me wrong. I'm a little concerned with the fact that it's hydraulic, and if you had experience with hydraulic droppers in the past, maybe let me know and kind of ease my woes a little bit with it. But I'm kind of annoyed with the fact that I'm gonna have to now do a brake bleed on 3 different things rather than just doing it on 2 things. I prefer the cable actuated ones. I've had really good luck with them in the past. So it would be nice if that was a little bit simpler, but it is what it is. So when we run into that, we might sell that and get a different dropper post. I'm not sure. My original plan with this bike was to make it a jib rig. What I wanted to do was, I got this little King Creek little cap here, little top cap. And essentially it just gives you a big enough space where you can drop your front brake cable through and then down through the head tube here and out down to the fork. So that would make it possible to do bar spins on the bike and kind of keep it clean. And then I would just run the rear brake cable out around the stem or the headset area here, like the stem spacers, just kind of wrap it around there. And then the issue comes in when I'm trying to think about what I'm going to do with the dropper and also what I'm going to do with the shifting. The shifting is not as big of a deal, but the dropper is definitely, because of the fact that it's reverb, like I talked about, I was going to have to bleed that too. So it becomes a lot. And a lot of people, when they make a jib rig, so they usually will throw like a single speed on there, and then they'll usually not run a dropper post. But I just find myself wanting to pull this bike out all the time. And I feel like if I had it single speed, I mean, obviously I'm not climbing then, I'm just sessioning stuff. And it turns into more of like a full suspension, like dirt jump bike. So I'm trying to think of if it would be realistic to keep it pretty much the way it is, have it run a dropper post, run 12 speed in the back, or maybe even get like a more simple cassette in the back with less gears, something more lightweight. And then actually still have it bar spin capable. I know the bike would be heavier for that reason as well, so that's kind of another downside. Let me know you guys' opinions on that, if you think that's a silly idea or not. I mean, some people are definitely gonna think it's silly. I mean, if you're not like into doing jibs and stuff, you're definitely gonna think it's silly. But it's kind of what I've been thinking about, so I might do that. I'm not sure. If you guys would like to see that, I would certainly be down to try it. So, you know, like and subscribe, leave a comment, and let me know that you want me to try that, because if I get enough support, maybe it'll push me into doing it. So we'll see. So on the front here, we got the RockShox Pike Select Plus, 140 mil of travel. This fork has been just fine. You know, I think the more you get into mountain biking and the more you're, you know, racing and stuff like that, and you're really paying attention to the suspension, you're gonna notice a huge change. I am not super particular about the way that my shock is. I do mess around with the settings a little bit. I have a little bit higher than the manufacturer recommends for the air pressure in the fork, and that's just because I felt like I was bottoming out. I now seem to be able to ride a usual ride and still keep the phonometer about, you know, 2 centimeters away from the top. So I would like to put some of these shock tokens into the fork. I think that would give it a more progressive ride feel. I know that if you put a few of those in there, it's gonna basically keep the suspension nice and soft for the smaller hits, but then when you hit, since it has that progressive travel as opposed to a linear travel, it's gonna keep you from bottoming out, basically. I mean, you could still bottom out, but it's gonna have more bottom out resistance, essentially. So I'm thinking about doing that in the fork, just to give it a more progressive feel. I know a lot of people that ride similarly to I do prefer that style of their suspension, so I might do that in the future. That's definitely something I'm considering. And then we got RockShox in the back, the Super Deluxe Select Plus in the rear, and that seems perfectly fine to me too. I have the rebound set up similarly in the front and the back. I have it a little bit faster. I would say about 75% of the way up. It's not, you know, I don't know how to describe it because there's a different amount of clicks for each one. So I have it roughly set up to where it's, you know, a little bit faster, a little bit closer to that rabbit, if you will.
Yeah, they call me Rabbit. This is the total race.
That's how I have it set up, and it seems to work pretty good. I'm constantly messing around with things since it's still sort of a new bike. 6 months, I'd still consider this bike pretty new to me. So messing around with that, but I'm pretty happy with it. I'm confident enough to like hit jumps on it now to where I'm not gonna feel like I'm gonna get, you know, sprung over the bike or anything. So that's cool. Suspension, super dope. So I think the next logical thing to talk about would be the drivetrain. And on my old bike, I had the NX group set, and now I have a GX group set, and I just feel like it's so much better, honestly. And I think if you're gonna get a bike, at least get the GX group set on it. I mean, you could get, you know, more expensive things if you want to, but GX seems tried and true, and it seems to work really great. I have had no issues with it, have not had to mess with it at all. The derailleur does have scuffs on it, like from crashes, but it's not skipping weird, it's not doing anything, it's not shifting odd or anything like that. So the GX, super solid. I would definitely recommend it for, you know, any person looking to get a trail bike. If you see GX, you're probably good. Don't go with SX or MX or anything like that. I mean, if you have to, you can. If you're gonna upgrade it, that's fine, but GX is definitely the way to go. So the next thing that we can talk about then is the Sram G2 brakes that come on the bike. A lot of people on the forums that I get on kind of complain about these brakes, say they aren't powerful enough. Again, I'm not the most experienced rider, I'm not racing, I'm not super particular, so these brakes work just fine for me. In the future, it'd be cool to try out some different brakes since I've only ran SRAM guides before on my old bike. I would like to, you know, maybe try out some Reverb brakes or something like that, for example. So that'd be really cool, but for now, this works fine. I kind of like the lever feel, the more spongy feel of the brakes. This is what I'm used to. Every time I jump on Katie's bike, she has some Shimano XT. What does she got? Oh, so she has Shimano SLX on her bike, and they just lock up right away. And it's a totally different feel, so it really depends on what you like. Alright, so some other little things I've added to the bike. I've added these valve caps right here, just a little splash of bling. Like I said, I kind of like the silvery look on the bike, so there might be some more silver added to the bike in the future. I have these 1-up pedals in black here, and they work great. They're awesome pedals. I feel like the quality you get for the money is just absolutely superb. I've had these on my stump jumper as well for almost a year, and then swapped them over to here for 6 months. They probably need taken apart. I need to get the tool for that, like the cassette tool or whatever, and take that off and then maybe re-lube it. But it seems pretty fine in general. So it would be nice if they would spin a little bit more freely, but it's fine. They work great as pedals. They're super wide. I've got pretty big feet, so they do the job. I would like to maybe get some Bergtech pedals in silver. I feel like that again would be a nice splash of silver on the bike, but you know, I'm happy with what I got. There's no complaints. Like I said, man, this bike is just absolutely phenomenal. I really could not complain about it at all. So another thing to talk about is the W2b Saddle that comes on the bike. It's a little bit cushier of a saddle, so I find when I'm doing crank flips and I miss and I have to land down on the seat, it is nice and cushy, which I like. I feel like that was a great seat to put on this bike because it's a little bit more dirt jumpy kind of. Whoa, Katie just dropped something in the shower. The grips that come stock on this bike, these are the these are the Santa Cruz ones. So you kind of have an option. I think they picked the option for you, but this one came with the Santa Cruz grips. No complaints here, perfectly fine grips. Probably not gonna upgrade those until they wear out. The bike is just freaking awesome, man. So honestly, the only complaints I have about it is that it was a little longer originally than I wanted it to be as far as the reach goes. So I've taken some measures to shorten the reach on that, which was increasing the stack of these stem spacers here. So the higher up you go, ultimately, since the head tube angle is on a angle facing back towards you, it brings the bars actually closer to you. And having these higher rise bars does the same thing as well. So it kind of shortened the reach a little bit for me, kind of pulling it back. Like I said, adding the shorter stem, the 35mm stem, I think I'm gonna be able to achieve that reach that I want even more if I do that. So overall, I wasn't super happy with the wheelbase being so long either. I didn't get the chance to try out the medium. Being a 6-foot rider, pretty much everybody told me I was silly for even wanting to try a medium out, but I don't think they truly understood what my intentions were with the bike. So I understand why people would say a medium is not the right size. But I want it to be a fun bike. I want it to be a bike I can do spins on. I want it to be like more of a BMX type bike. And getting the large, it's kind of turning out to be more of the trail bike that is kind of an all-around bike for me. Which, you know, no complaints about that because it's still an awesome bike, but I really wish I could have tried out that medium, and I still might try out a medium just so I can kind of settle my mind down with that because I've definitely lost a little bit of sleep over that, but you know, it is what it is. We got the large, we love the bike, everything's fine. So other than that, this bike has been absolutely great to me, and if you're looking for a bike like this, I would definitely recommend going ahead and trying this bike out and maybe getting it for yourself. I have no regrets, and yeah, it's just an all-around great bike. Every time I look at it, I'm just absolutely in love with it, and it's cool to actually get the bike that you really, really want, and that really makes you happy. So if you like this video, leave us a like and leave us a comment what you think about the bike. Let me know what you think about the review as well. And if you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe because it really goes a long way when you subscribe. It helps us to do these videos, and these videos are really what I want to do in life. And it's me and Katie's goal to, you know, get our channel blown up enough to where we can do this more often, put more time into this, and create a mountain bike community through our page that really embodies what we like in the sport. So if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and subscribe, leave us a like. It goes so far and we appreciate it more than you could ever think. So do that, and as always, I'm Nick and you're watching Nick and Katie. Thanks for watching.